Well, howdy there, folks. James here again with the Political Friar. Last time we talked about how Matt Gaetz absolutely shanked Kevin McCarthy. What a way to go out. But this time we want to talk about what happens next now that McCarthy's out. So, what happens next is first we have a speaker temporarily. His name is Patrick McHenry, and he's only got one job. His one job is to find the next speaker. He's, by rule, not allowed to do anything else. And so, any thought that maybe he would just take over where Kevin left off is just not going to work. He's not actually even running to be speaker. So his one job is going to be to hold the gavel until somebody else comes and picks it up. Who's that person going to be? Well, we got two declared folks. We've got Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise. Jim Jordan is probably your MAGA representative. The man is certainly a loyalist to Donald Trump, which doesn't distinguish him from most Republicans at this point. The party is slowly transitioning from a party of ideas to a party of identity, but he's just a step along that golden path towards having a unitary party around a person. Jim Jordan is the chair of the House Judicial Committee, and as such, he's been the number one investigator of the Biden crime family. Yeah, the Biden crime family. Well, he hasn't come up with much yet, but that does give him quite a bit of credibility among rank and file Republicans in the base. The downside to Jim Jordan is, boy, the rich donors don't like the guy. He is a MAGA kind of right winger, which means that the number one job that a speaker does outside of running the House is something that Jim Jordan can't do. He can't raise money for other members. Now, that might not stop him, but it is a concern, and it's something that Steve Scalise, his primary rival, certainly can do. Scalise is the number two in the House and is the natural successor for Kevin McCarthy. We're just going to bump everybody up a rank, and it's Steve. Downsides to Steve, though, he has cancer. It's a blood cancer, and it's apparently very treatable, but he's on chemotherapy right now. And being Speaker of the House at this point while on chemotherapy, sounds stressful. He says he's up for it, and I guess Speaker has a big staff, so maybe he is, but I do expect that there will be some pause before giving him the job. Now, those are the two who have actually come in and said that they want the job. Let's take a little moment to talk about who else might be kind of a black, in the running, say. So first, there's Elise Stefanik, who is the number three member of the House and got her job relatively amazingly by being a absolute to the hilt supporter of Donald Trump. If anybody in the House can be counted on to do Donald Trump's bidding more than Jim Jordan, it's Elise Stefanik. Now, she said she's not running, and probably she just is looking to bump up the ranks. Maybe she would even not mind if Scalise got the job, because then she could slide into the number two spot. But if Donald Trump did get actively involved, look for her name to pop up. Speaking of, the Constitution doesn't say that it has to be a member of Congress to that ends up in the speakership. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene knows that, and she's already nominated, you guessed it, Donald Trump to be the Speaker of the House. Now, the House rules do say that the Speaker cannot be under indictment for a felony, that it can be punishable by more than 2 years. And so, at least in theory, the rules say it can't be Donald Trump. He's indicted for four felonies, more than four felonies, four different cases with up to 91 felonies, I guess, all of which have possible sentences over 2 years. And so that would seem to disqualify him, except, hey, the standard for changing the rules is the same as the standard for electing the speaker. They could just change that rule at the same time that they elect Donald Trump if they so chose. Eh, it's not clear he's interested, but it's not clear he's not interested. I'm going to watch it, but for now, I'm going to think that's probably not going to happen. Finally, Kevin Hearn's name has popped up, and he isn't a household name, not even as much of a household name as Jim Jordan is, but he does lead the largest single sub caucus in the House, which is the Republican Study Committee. Now, that is a right wing committee, but it's also pretty focused on fiscal matters, not so much social, and certainly not the political MAGA stuff. I actually think if he ran, he might be the dark horse that wins. It's because the majority of the Republican caucus is not Matt Gaetz. He only got 8 people to vote for the removal of Kevin McCarthy along with the Democrats. I suspect that the Republican caucus is going to look for somebody who embodies the sort of fiscal conservatism that Matt Gaetz said he was standing up for when he caught Kevin McCarthy, but doesn't embrace the type of destructive politics that resulted in Gates effectively throwing a grenade on the floor of the House and sending all of this mess in motion. So look for Kevin Hurd. I'm going to go ahead and root for him, although I suspect we're going to end up with Scalise and hope we don't end up with Jordan. Anyway, that's what I've got for you today, folks. Please do hit that like button. The subscribe button is good. That way you don't miss the next one. And leave a comment. The only way people find this stuff is if you do that for me. Visit politicalfriar.com. I'll talk to you soon.